Guys, we are off to episode 39. And again, we have a special guest to share with you guys as always. We just want to thank you guys for subscribing, making sure that you guys are aware where to find everybody. Check the descriptions in any of our videos, and you'll be able to connect with all of our amazing guests. Today, we have a guest that's going to touch on organic sun grown cannabis. He's well known in our industry, but I wanted to share him with you guys and make sure you guys are aware of his amazing product that's out there. So, thank you, John, for coming on. I truly appreciate it. It is an honor to have you finally on. I've been wanting to get you on here for a year now. I've been doing this for quite some time, but thank you for coming on and joining me.
Yeah, thank you so much for taking the time to really share our story and me with your audience. I appreciate it.
Of course. Yeah, I love it. I got the pleasure of meeting you guys finally in person at the Emerald Cup last year. You guys took home some awards, and I think you took home more than one award just because you guys have collaborative things that you do when we're infusing pre rolls and making rosin, but because you guys are producing flour at that scale with that amount of experience. I can't imagine, many people are probably reaching out to you to collab in some way, especially when they're making amazing product like rosin. And that's a new hit right now too. So before we dive into everything that you craft, I do want to know a little bit about your backstory. I know personally a little bit about it, which we're going to be adding a link to our description here so people can take a look at the short video of your brand and your story. But if you don't mind just sharing a little bit about who you are, how cannabis plays in your life, and kind of what led you to where you are now with Huckleberry Farms.
All right, yeah, for sure. And I'll kind of keep it brief a little bit because it could go on for a while. But, um, moved to Humboldt County with my mom and my stepdad when I was like 5 years old, and moved to the same property that I live today. And, you know, uh, having grown up there with my mom, I really learned everything that I know today about growing any kind of vegetable or fruit tree or cannabis plant from her. And, you know, spending so much time with my mom on the family, building a lifestyle of our own in the country was never easy. And it really took a family unit to create something special. And so I always followed her around, and my stepdad was always doing the hard work. And I was always following my mom around, working in the vegetable garden, helping her with fertilizing the fruit trees and the grapes and taking care of the cannabis plants. And just really fell in love with, I think, the way that she taught me how to care for the plants. She always really, from as early as I can remember, really instilled in me that, you can see all your friends running around with all these toys and these trucks and these things, but money will never make you happy. It's always about friends, family, and community. And so that was always the biggest part of my life. And so I grew up not really valuing money or chasing money, and really just always lived my life, playing in the dirt and interacting with nature and the environment and my mother, and learned really quickly that all types of plants and trees really respond better to TLC, the tender loving care that you give them. And the more that you give these plants that kind of attention, the better they respond. So I always find it really odd when, bigger companies are reaching out to me and saying they want to collaborate and they want to know what my SOPs are. And like, I'm like, there's no SOP, because what I was taught and what I've learned over the years is that every different cultivar really needs something differently. And so if you're growing multiple different cultivars on your farm, you don't have just a standard operating procedure where, okay, on Wednesday, I'm dumping this at week whatever, or week this into the tank and fertilizing with that. It's really about understanding what each and every cultivar really specifically needs for that specific cultivar. And in doing that, you have a million mistakes. We had many failed crops, And through that, we really learned how to grow those specific strains that we're growing today. And that really circles back to having an amazing community, because having this tight knit community really enabled to maybe avoid some of the mistakes that some of our friends like Jason Gilman at Ridgeline Farm that I talk to every single day, or Moonmaid Farms, or Judy from Soul Spirit. We communicate with each other and we said, hey, yeah, I tried this and we had this response with this cultivar. And so we're able to really avoid some of the mistakes that other people are making, and it kind of really upped our game a little bit on producing some amazing cannabis with the cultivars that we're growing. And what we grow at our farm might not grow as well on the east side of the county. And so you had to also figure that out. And so over the years, as I was continuing to grow with my mom, and she was showing me, oh yeah, let's do this. Let's pull the plant out at the end of the season and put the roots in boiling water, because we heard rumors of maybe that sent all the terpenes and the sugars to the flower. Let's um, let's put rusty nails in the pots. Let's put birth control pills
Mm.
during flowering. And so it was always an experiment to see how these plants responded. And so I was like, it became a competition between mom and son, and how do I grow a better plant than she does? And so when I was 15, I finally convinced her to give me 10 plants of my own, and to grow the way I wanted to, and to experiment around in the ways that I wanted to, that maybe she didn't let me at that time do. And that first year, I ended up growing 10 plants at the age of 15 and got like 10 or 12 pounds. And back then, we weren't growing out in the open. We were growing underneath bushes. We were growing on platforms in trees, because there was these eradication teams and enforcement with the war on drugs that came in the form of airplanes doing aerial surveillance, looking for plants so they can come and bust you. um, Multiple different agencies and helicopters that would fly over your properties or out in the woods and drop guys down on wires. And they would drop the guys into the fields. They would cut down the plants. They would put them in big old nets, and then they would carry your crop away. And so it was always this cat and mouse game with law enforcement and the tight knit community that we had. And we always communicated. We always let each other know where enforcement was and where the convoys were. And um, it really was it was really traumatizing in a way, excuse me, for a lot of us. And I always get emotional when I talk about it, because it just affected so many of us. And still, we see hints of that kind of abuse that a lot of the small farmers are having today. And it just is really hard to see that we're continuing to demonize this plant that has so many beneficial values. And we're all really just trying to support our families and our communities. And it was the community of Humboldt that really built our infrastructure. We built, the technical rescue teams with donations from the pot farmers. We built the fire departments. We built the schools. We built all these things that were amazing, that built this beautiful, tight knit community. And it was really that community that was as special as the amazing cannabis we produced. And we all became very, 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 very close. And it was an amazing place to grow up as a kid. And after Ronald Reagan really declared the war on drugs in I think it was 1985, enforcement got bad. I mean, there was 4 or 5 helicopters in the air during harvest season, and they were all over the county, and people were getting their crops were getting taken, but they weren't really going to jail. And, it was after a little bit of that kind of stress that my mom and my stepdad decided that they really wanted to follow their lifelong dream. And they bought a commercial albacore boat, and they decided to leave me back at the farm, and they sailed around the world fishing for albacore for tuna. And we're gone 11 months out of the year. And I stayed home with my best friend as my neighbor, and just really fell in love with growing the plant and really looking for ways to um, beat the methods that the enforcement teams really were trying to get our cannabis with. And so, long story short, sorry, I'm rambling on. When I was 24 years old, my best friend and I, we were growing this crop underneath the bushes. Enforcement was so bad that we had to grow underneath a canopy where the plants would only get like 1 or 2 feet tall. And so we
Yeah.
would only get like an ounce of plant. So nowadays, when you're growing out in the open in the legal market, you can get like 5 or 10, but the plants can get as big as you want. So sometimes you get 10 pounds of plant or 5 pounds of plant. Back then we were trying to get an ounce of plant, but given the price per pound was 5,000 a pound. So if you could grow as a 20-year-old kid 20 pounds and make 100 grand, it was an amazing way to live your life and not having to spend very much money. Surfing and fishing and running around in the woods was fairly cheap, really. It didn't take a lot of money to just make it to the next year. And that was our goal, right? To make enough money as a family unit to take care of your roads, to grow a vegetable garden, and to get to the next year and to participate and be part of an amazing community. And unfortunately, during that time, this old man down our road ended up turning us in, and to enforcement, and they started an investigation. And one morning, I heard something rumbling up the road, and about 6 o'clock in the morning, and so I was drinking my cup of coffee, something I do every morning, a tradition. And I walked out of my sliding glass door into my driveway, and around the corner came a guy in camouflage with a 9mm pistol that yelling, put your hands up, get up against the wall. And, so I dropped my coffee cup, did what he said. I was pretty calm, actually. And long story short, he took me in the house, and behind him there was 30 federal agents that were serving a search warrant on my place. And so really from that point forward, my life was never the same. And they were at my house for about 8 hours. They took, they were taking things like seeds and notations that we'd have. And we didn't ever kept any pictures at the house because that was a no-no. And
Okay.
uh, we never wanted to leave any kind of evidence around. And so they took whatever they did. And then at the end of the day, they left me with a little yellow speeding ticket and said, well, if we want to contact you, we'll get a hold of you. And it was about a year and a half after that they showed back up with an arrest warrant. And then
Mm.
from that point forward, I was going back and forth down to San Francisco Federal Courthouse building, really trying to explain to a judge who I was as a person, because I said, hey, look, I'm guilty for growing the cannabis. But because it was a federal situation, we were pretty naive of the laws. Everybody we knew in Humboldt County grew weed. We thought your first time offense was just probation. So it was always worth the risk to grow and maybe make 20 or 30 pounds and be able to live to the next year. But the federal laws were different, and mandatory minimums were pretty severe, even for a first time offender like myself and my good friend. We were looking at 10 years to life in prison for growing these plants. And it was in disbelief that this was actually the reality of the situation that now I found myself in, because I'm just kind of a person that would never hurt anybody, always looks out for people. And, sometimes people with even that get caught for, drunk driving and run somebody over and kill them get less time than that. So I thought, and I explained to my judge or my attorney that, like, I want to explain to the judge who I am as a person. I want him to actually know who I am, know that I would never hurt anybody. And I just thought that maybe he wouldn't be able to give me, the minimum sentence. And unfortunately, I was wrong. And after 3 years of going to court, he stood up and he said, I want nothing more to give you less time, but because I'm bound by the laws to uphold the laws, I have to give you the lower end of this mandatory minimum. Gave us 10 years in prison, which is 120 months. And I did in federal prison, you have to do 85% of your time, unlike state where you can get off really early. So me and my best friend, we did 8 years, 6 years in Lompoc, and I got transferred and did a drug program over at Nellis Air Force Base in Vegas and got 6 months off of my sentence. And so it was about 8 years I did in prison and then had 5 years probation. So this whole going to court, getting busted, going to jail, and then having probation was really 17 years out of my life. And now
Mhm.
I'm really proud to say that I'm a permitted farm in Humboldt County and with the state of California. So it's been an amazing journey, and now I get to share our product with the world, and I get to share, my mom's legacy and everything that she taught me how to do with people, and they're really resonating with our story, and that we don't care so much about making money, and we just want people to feel good. And it's really hard a lot of times for people to really believe that there's people out there that care about one another. I think as a culture, I think the human race has gotten away from just caring about one another just to care. And I just kind of refuse to live like it's about money and how can I make money and how can I sell my product before Soul Spirit. We all work together to uplift each other, because what makes me feel good might not make you feel good. So the whitethorn rose might make some people feel amazing, but Soul Spirit over there grows a strain called the Element that won the third-party certified sun-grown flower last year, and it might make you feel amazing if whitethorn rose doesn't. So it's about really uplifting each other and finding what makes that consumer feel amazing.
I don't know if everybody really understands how privileged we are down here for, the way we have been living like cannabis has always been around for us. It's not something that we grew. Maybe we had plugs here and there, but I don't know too many people that have lived the life that you guys have lived. Love the story that you shared about how she taught you, the experiment that you guys enjoyed together, the bond that built. And I'm hoping that that's what I get with my son. I think it's a beautiful story. I also follow your girlfriend, and I just love everything that's about your guys's brand, as far as how you guys maintain your farm, how you guys grow your cannabis, how you guys present yourself with your story, and how you guys also uplift the community as one. And thank you for sharing that. I know it probably pulled a lot of emotions out of you because you don't want to relive that to federal prison for 8 years and have to deal with all these legalities for 17 years. That's enough stress. And to still see you thriving and being so passionate about it, I love it. What do you say to those people who are interested, or maybe to those who are just interested in white labeling, and maybe, we don't know the extents of what it's like to be in the cannabis industry at that level?
I really like to be about positive about everything, and really learned how to be positive when I stepped foot in, Lompoc Federal Prison Camp. I had the longest prison sentence there out of all the inmates. So, to go into a camp, you can't have more than 10 years, and I had 10 years, so I was right at the limit, and really gained a lot of respect with all the different ethnic groups, because what was really important, especially in prison, and especially to my values, is that I had a chance at one time, as all federal people that are being prosecuted do, to cooperate with the government and really not have to do any time. And because I wasn't a rat, because I was who I said I was to a community that I loved, I really was accepted into jail by everyone, and really embraced me and took care of me, and really was proud that I made that choice, even though I don't think for anybody it is when you're looking at that much time and you can't see the light at the end of the tunnel. But I did see a lot of bitter and angry people in there, and I really didn't ever want to come out of there bitter and angry and blaming the government for what had happened to me. I knew I was breaking the law. Yeah, I probably didn't deserve to get that much time as a first-time nonviolent offender for growing a plant, but really made the best out of my time there, and worked hard and just played a lot of sports, and um, made quite a few friends in there. None of really who I stay in contact with, but really learned who my community was once again when my mother passed away about a year after I was in prison, and really was one of the hardest times I had to go through in there, and just received so much love and so many different letters from people that really I understood that even though my parents had passed away when I was in jail in a boating accident, my other family was going to be there when I got out, and really um, helped me make it through that time. And when I drove up my driveway after being away for 3,000 days, I had 50 people from that community there standing in my where I used to live as I drove up the driveway. So it was a very powerful and emotional moment for me to know that I made it through that time, and yet I didn't have 1 cent to my name. There was barbecues, there was plates, there was silverware, toothpaste and toothbrushes, some of the things that we all take for granted. They were bringing those things to make sure that this guy that didn't rat out their friends to save his own ass, that they were going to take care of. And they brought money over, and they just made sure I was okay for the first couple years, and really got me back on my feet. So when I permitted the farm, not even remembering the question you asked me, but when I permitted the farm, I really again wanted to remember what my mom said, didn't want to make it about money, and I wanted to make that farm special and have a reflection of the community that I grew up in and that I loved so much. And so we have things on the farm like Farmer's Mountain that have logos and sayings of other farms like Judy from Soul Spirit, Moonmaid Farms, Briceland Forest Farms, all the different farms that are participating. We have Farmer's Mountain. All the planter boxes have nameplates of people in my life that have made it possible for me to be there. There's flowers. All the strains that we created there are strains that I created with my nursery license to a strain I used to grow with my mom when I was 10. So every strain in that farm is crossed with Paradise Punch, that very unique and special strain that she had. And that's how we found Whitethorn Rose. We have strains like Mom's Weed. We have Margie's Magic that's named after Rose's mom that passed away when she was 48. So another reminder to all your listeners and my fans and consumers is that we can never really take today for granted, and we always have to do the best we can to make a difference in people's lives today, because my mom died when she was 50. Rose's mom died when she was 48. So I can't expect to be here tomorrow or take today for granted, and really want to make the best out of today and the most out of today as possible. And wanted that farm to have the most impact on everybody that came there, and let them know what we went through as a community to get to this legalization and to give you some of the best product in the world. And we went through a lot, and I've been growing pot for 50 years. And I still love to do it. I look forward to getting up in the morning. I look forward to getting a call from Ridgeline Farms and really figuring out what we're going to do and strategizing, and what strains we're going to enter in the Emerald Cup, and who's going to get what. And it just makes really life fun, and what we're doing still fun today.
I love that. I think to that note, for us who may be interested in wanting to get into the actual business of cannabis and actually brand ourselves, it's important that we know who we're white labeling. You know what I mean? Like, it's important we know your story. It's important we know the cultivars that you guys have and the energy that it's being grown around. I personally love your product. I've had the pleasure of having it in an infused pre-roll, which won awards last year and probably the year before. We'll get into that. I'm sure you know what's won. I am very grateful for people like yourself who actually put in a lot of energy in the products that we consume, for fun. And I know it's not easy to grow cannabis. I'm always in awe when I watch your Instagram stories or Rose. I think you said two sheeps, if I read right.
Yeah, we ended
Yeah,
up getting rid of the sheep. It was you know, a little hindrance on us being able to ever leave at all with a dog and sheep, and a mother room where we
a
really
baby.
pride ourselves on making sure that live through the winter time. And I'm remembering your question about, white labeling. And, I've worked with some amazing companies through a giant company, a company that was trying to be the world's largest sun-grown company that is no longer here. They took in $275 million, ended up blowing it all, thinking they exploited really the small farmer, and ended up going away. Long story short, in that relationship, got to meet Willie Nelson in the Willie's Reserve brand that now is no longer in California. Uh, Got to meet Ricky Williams, who was really trying to, explore, the California marketplace, and I think has decided not to. Um, the Grateful Dead. Nobody really, the California marketplace right now, if anybody's into trying to get involved in it, I say don't. I think that you're going to see a lot of small farmers like myself go away this year. We saw a lot go away last year, and we're really jeopardizing an opportunity down the road to maybe discover some kind of genetics or some kind of cannabinoid or terpene that might have this ability to cure cancer or autism or some of these ailments that they have yet to find a cure for, by losing farmers like myself or Soul Spirit Farm that might have these legacy genetics that will go away with these farms and that will never be able to be examined or explored or looked into. And so that's the real risk, is that we might lose a Paradise Punch or some of these legacy cultivars that go with some of these small farmers. And um, it's not what anybody thinks. It's not getting easier. There's a lot of my friends that are going away this year, and I won't name any names, but some big name farms are going to either fallow or go away. And I don't want to see people having to rely on these genetics that are commercially grown, like, and they're all great, amazing genetics, and I'm sure some of them make people feel good, but like the industry doesn't have to be all ice cream cake and gelatos and all these things. There's stuff like Whitethorn Rose and Mom's Weed that people probably have never heard of, and Lance that won all these awards that can make you feel amazing. I think Briceland Forest Farms grows Cuddle Buds, and uh, Whitethorn Valley has this strain owl, and like Moonmaid has hers. We all have these unique cultivars that can make you feel amazing, and we have to find a way. I think the DCC really needs to subsidize some of these small farmers, especially, an acre or less or half an acre. We're 5,000 square foot. We're one of the smallest, sun-grown farms in California. Are we going to make it? Probably not. I don't know how we make it, even with federal legalization. How does a small farm that myself and Rose, my girlfriend, work ourselves and do everything? I don't know how we do it. And I'm trying not to look too far ahead. And I'm just hoping that I'm hoping that it's like a big puzzle on a table, and we're just trying to figure out how to put all the pieces together. But the love from the people in the DMs I get at 4 o'clock in the morning with people telling me how Whitethorn Rose makes them feel, and some of those other cultivars we grow. That's why we're doing what we're doing. And if I can get another year out of getting some of those DMs and some of that connection with those consumers that have never known me before, is really why we're doing it. And I'm hoping some door opens down the road that I'm not don't know of yet. And I just have a hard time believing the glass houses of the world. Nothing about glass house. Everybody, there's products that have to be out there. And I have no problem with any bigger companies or big ag or whatever. I can't believe they haven't reached out to the small farmers and really have tried to attach themselves to. We're not their competition. We
Right.
grow product that's different from them. Let me say it that way. They should be attaching themselves to this, because at the end of the day, with federal legalization, the only different thing that'll be in the industry is the small farmer story, that really led to legalization, in my opinion. And that's what really resonate with people. That's the Napa Valley of wine, the different varietals of grapes that are grown in these certain terroirs that are grown nowhere else in the world, that make people feel amazing. And it's not the THC, which we're all starting to figure out. It's, we watch that evolution to the different terpenes and different cannabinoids, and people are getting it. It's slower than I want it to happen, but they're getting it, they're figuring it out, and they're really resonating with all of our stories.
Yep, that's why I say this is what I do. I think it's important that if we have a voice to try to, if you're enjoying, being in front of camera, use it. Try to have open conversations. It just, you never know who's going to be educated or find value in this. And so continue sharing your story. It is so impactful to the community and just your brand alone. I think, I feel that you have a lot of above a spirit that's really pushing you guys. And I think that's why, there's a lot of doors that are opening and more to open, is our hope for you guys, just because, I feel like giving back so much, there is definitely, God will give back to those who are so giving. And you truly are. I can really sense it from just everything this, 40 minutes that we've been on. We didn't have much time to talk on stage, of course, because you were getting your award, but it's truly a pleasure to hear your story, and I'm here to support you guys any way we can. I think it's important people know about sun-grown cannabis. Like I said to you earlier offline, I'm in SoCal, Inland Empire, San Bernardino County, the worst, or I should say, not the friendliest county for cannabis yet. We're barely getting, I think they approved 4 licenses here, dispensaries out here. I am not seeing very much sun-grown. Any sun-grown products is really not even something the bud tenders would even lean on to, um, like gear us to. So me being in the industry, I do go into the stores. I'm always asking for sun-grown. I think it opens up their eyes as bud tenders. And if I'm lucky enough and I have a store manager, I definitely let them know, they should consider having products like that on shelf. Living Soil, please give me some options here, because I think our demographic, our audience is missing out. And if they're not in the industry, they really don't know, is what I'm finding out. So with that said, I would love if you can tell us a little bit about your craft and kind of how you guys grow. I know you have a farm. I know you kind of touched on that, but a little bit about maybe the cultivars, because I know that you guys have, I don't know, when I watch your Instagram, I see like beds of flowers, beautiful beds of flowers, and then the plants. So if you don't mind, just kind of tell me a little bit about the farm and the growing part. You can tell me about your dog, and I think Willie and Nelson are gone now, so we'll leave them out of it. But love to know a little bit about what goes on the farm on like a day to day basis.
Cool. And you should buy some shade cloth. Um,
Judy told me that.
the flowers, and it's really more like Briceland Forest Farm and Whitethorn Valley Farms and Chia and Moon Maid Farms that can talk about this better than I can. But as I'm learning to be more of a regenerative farmer, and
Mm.
my farm has 4 or 5 different, I don't even know how many certifications, from different groups. Cannabis for conservation certified. I'm fish friendly certified. I used to be Sun and Earth certified. I didn't renew that certification this year. Um, we have all these different certifications to really try to educate the consumers that, hey, we're growing organically, hey, we're doing all these things for the environment. I have rainwater catchment and solar, and the flowers really came into play with the Sun and Earth certification, really bringing different benefits. So not having to spray. Most of our cultivars are unique, different terpene profile, really are bug resistant. So we're very fortunate. They don't get any kind of, they do get bud mold, but they don't get like powder mold. So we're very fortunate with those cultivars not to have to deal with that and have to spray any kind of thing on our plants. But where I'm going with the flowers is that those really attract all these beneficial bugs that really take care of these problems for you, so you don't have to spray. So the flowers around the base of the plants, to be completely honest, is not so much for those beneficial insects. I did it more for aesthetics, and I really wanted to create something so beautiful at our farm that it wasn't row cropped, and people didn't look at it as, oh yeah, here's a bunch of marijuana plants all in a row that are being commercially grown. I was the 4th existing farm in Humboldt County to be permitted, so I kind of was able to arrange our garden in a way that they don't allow anymore, that I could create paths with the plants, and as we're taking tours on our farm, we're walking through all these different cultivars, and I'm sharing stories about the people's names that are on the planter boxes, and really making people feel what I'm trying to tell them, right? Really trying to make them understand what our community is about, and why it's so important that they support us, and that we make it in this industry. And, you know, more times than not, like when the Gangier program comes, they come once a month and they take, 20 to 30 people, and it's part of their class that they get. And that's an amazing class to
Mm.
take. That's a good one for people that are really trying to understand the industry and all the different parts of the plant. And I suggest that one. But more than not, over half the people are crying on the side of my hillside, and it creates such a connection and a different type of feeling that, like, most of them still stay in contact with me today. And, we're hugging and crying on the side of the hillside every time, like it's our first time. And it's a real powerful moment. And there's Buddhas, and Rose takes them up to the top of the hill where she has a gong set up, and she does some sound healing. And we have a wish box where people can really manifest their wishes, and they can walk down the hills to the rainwater catchment ponds where they can see farmers mountains, and they can read about, sticky fields, and they can read about moon-made farms, and ridgeline farms, and savage farms, and really learn about other farms. Because the one saying that holds true today, and I always try to say this, it's never going to be about one of us, and it's always going to be about all of us, because that's how we grew up in the Emerald Triangle, was taking care of each other. And as things are getting fragmented, and as the industry is trying to pull us apart, and to, I don't want to say destroy us, but to eliminate us out of the competition, it's really hard for us to all deal with watching our neighbors and our friends, and we're trying to find ways for each and every one of us to make it. So, um, yeah, the flowers bring beneficial bugs to help protect the plants from any kind of, uh, you know, insects that might do some damage. So
I
there you go.
love that. Now I know that's what's on the planter boxes. I see them.
Yeah,
I'm like, all
yeah.
right, I'm gonna try to mimic that here to the best of
Yeah.
my
And
ability.
so every year we try to change up the colors underneath the planter boxes, so it looks different. And so it's always a different color scheme, and we're always, looking for suggestions from the consumer, like, hey, you should do white, or you should do purple, or we add different names, and we take different names off. This year we added Woody Harrelson. He came to the
So,
farm, and so we added him
oh,
to one of the planter boxes. So him and Willie are right next to each other. I got Ricky Williams up there. He came to the farm a couple years ago, and had some really, really cool people. And I got to say, I don't know if you've ever had a chance to interview Ricky Williams, and we could probably make that happen. But one of the most humbled human beings that I've ever met in my life. Like, that is
hmm.
this very, 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 very special person. And you guys should all reach out to him, because he'll give you the time of day, and I think he should be on your podcast.
All right, Ricky Williams.
Okay.
I'm going to reach
Yep.
out.
DM Ricky, he'll
Um,
answer you.
I will. I think it's important that we get good people on and that have a good story. And if they have, for me, it's always about getting people on here with a genuine love for the cannabis industry as a whole, as you said earlier. I resonate with that as a being, as a woman. I think it's important that we take care of our own as family. And I can tell that you were raised that way, and it's carrying on to your community, whether that's blood or not blood. And I love that about you. So it's an honor to have you on here and share all of that. I hope one day I get to actually go there and smell everything. I always see all the, all my classmates from Emerald Cup sniffing and being so close to these plants. I mean, indoor out here in SoCal, they can only get so big and they look substantially different. When I'm seeing, some of the Ganjier posts, I can see the difference in the colas and just the color. You could just tell there's substantial difference. So I appreciate people that really love what they do, and the fact that you went out of your way to really give it more love aesthetically is super cool. I love that.
Are you
So
a
I
judge?
can't wait.
Are you going the Emerald Cup this year? 20?
I will definitely be there. I am part of the team this year, so we're going to make
That's
sure
great.
that everybody is aware and we're spreading the word as far as it can go.
To what the Emerald Cup has done for my farm and for like Ridgeline Farms, we all talk about is like, say you have the best strain in the world. It's really hard for a small farm, especially in Northern California. How does that get out there? How does that get to the amount of people that it takes a long time. So the Emerald Cup is really brought attention to our life's work and really enabled us to really propel forward in highlighting what we're doing far quicker than otherwise we would be otherwise be able to. So, kudos to Tim Blake and the Emerald Cup team and what they've done for Sungrown and for the small farmers of the Emerald Triangle. Can't say enough good things about those guys. And Taylor.
And yes, Taylor, Vicky, Gina, everybody on there worked so hard for, the love of everybody's hard work throughout the entire year and all the amazing craft that you guys put out. I can't wait. It's always amazing. I went to 22, 23, and so this will be my third one. And, last year I was a pre-roll judge and I think they had 50 entries. That was really fun. I mean,
Whoa.
being a judge is a lot of work sometimes, and people don't really know the extensive time that we take, all the meetings that we have, weekly meetings, the panel. So it's an honor to be on just the team and see the 20th anniversary come together. It's going to be in Oakland, May 4th and 5th. And yeah, I can't wait. I hope you entered. I'm sure you did. I know
We
how
did
many
it.
awards do you guys have?
You know, I, I'm not really sure. Like you said, I did quite a few different collaborations with people. I try not to, as a small farmer, sell our flower bulk unless we're going to do a collaboration with people because, I want people to know where that flower came from, right? So most of the people, all the people that I work with usually put our logo or highlight our farm somehow, and working with a lot of amazing manufacturers this year that found Whitethorn Rose and Riddles to be amazing. So you'll see some, maybe you'll see some of that around there with some different names of manufacturers that we're working with for the first time this year that have really done an amazing job with Whitethorn Rose and Riddles. And yeah, we got a few different entries, and I'm entering a new cultivar called Paradise Pine. That was a Whitethorn Rose Paradise Punch cross, and so keep our fingers crossed that that does okay. But it's really a time where we're all able to get together, where we're not on our farms, and we're all kind of there to celebrate what we've been doing forever, and always meet a ton of amazing people. And really excited about it this year, especially. It's a 2-day event. And what I was going to tell you is what they did last year as far as keeping the people that entered informed and watching like the sun grown and smoking and all the different, as their judges were judging, they kind of kept us in tune with that. And it was really fun for the farmers to watch that happen and really built it up to a point where it was an amazing time, an amazing climax at the end. So super
Yes.
stoked the way they did it. I hope they do it again that way this year.
Yeah, it's going to be big. I am really excited for the turnouts, and May 4th and 5th will be the actual celebration. Well, I appreciate you sharing your story and everything about your farm. Again, I can't wait to get out there one day. I will bring my entire family and I'm sure they'll love it. Hopefully, my child doesn't tear any of your beautiful buds. Thank you so much, John. I appreciate it. It's an honor to have you guys on here to share the story. I'll make sure that all the links to where we can support you and connect with you will be in our description. And good luck if you enter the Emerald Cup. All right, 7 grams rapid fire. Grinders or fingers? As far as how you
Grinder.
would. All right, all right. Really? I would have thought you would have said fingers. I think
I'm
I
a
guess it
terrible
depends.
roller. I can't roll. And to tell a secret, I kind of roll with the rolling machine. I'm terrible. So I'm not a roller. I'm not even
Beautiful
a
state.
big smoker. So
Oh, really? Didn't know
not
that.
so much.
Well, not so much. Yeah, well, that's okay. Dispensary or plug? That's probably a rough one for you.
Plug, help me. Plug.
Okay, okay, cool. Floral or gasoline terps?
Floral.
Bong tokes or joints?
Joints.
Right. Leaves or papers?
Papers.
Live resin or rosin?
Oh God, I'm terrible at both of those. Rosin.
Yes, good answer. Cheech and Chung or half baked?
Half baked.
Yes, that's my favorite too. Yeah, Dave Chappelle, I love him. He's actually got some new stand-up. I think it's super hilarious. Thank you so much for jumping into those with me. Appreciate your time. I know, you're somewhere where you're taking care of somebody, so I really do appreciate and respect everything that you guys do and the time you gave me today.
Awesome too, and please let your consumers know that we, as the small farmers in the Emerald Triangle, really appreciate when they support us. And I know maybe they don't understand it, but when they DM us or when they show us their product and they put it on Instagram, it's just an amazing feeling for all of us. So I want to thank anybody on here that's been supporting us and continue to support the small farmer. They really care about you.
Great message, and make sure you guys follow them. They're on Instagram, and I will make sure that their website's on here as well. Thank you so much, Johnny. I appreciate your time, and that's all for today.
Thank you. We'll see you soon. We'll see you this summer.
Yes, we'll see you in May.
Okay.
Bye,
Bye bye.
everybody. Till the next one.